and welcome to the second day of the Energy Transition Conference 2026 or ETCon26, brought to you by Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB. Now, for those interested to attend the conference, please do so beginning from the 3rd of June, yesterday, until the 5th of June 2026, tomorrow, where you can meet with industry leaders, stakeholders, and experts within the energy transition field and ask them any questions that you want to ask, and you will be answered. All right, so launched in 2023, the platform aims to responsibly advance the region's clean energy transition, convening key stakeholders across the globe and showcasing pathways towards a shared low-carbon future. And today we have a very special guest from Tenaga Nasional Berhad itself, which is the Chief New Energy Officer of TNB, Encik Mohd Zarihi, Mohd Hashim. Welcome to Bernama Mobile Studio today.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Mus, for inviting.
All right, so how do you see and how do you look at the vibes of the entire pavilion at the ETCon26 so far?
I think this year has been a very, very good response from the attendees. Today is the second day of the conference, and we still keep seeing a lot of attendees engaging with our panels during our plenary sessions and also engaging at our exhibitions as well. So it's been a great ET conference so far for the last 2 days.
So yesterday you had your session.
Yes, I did.
So what were the feedbacks from the stakeholders, industry and industry experts and players?
Well, I think generally it was a good conversations around capital models and how a lot more capitals we can spend on renewable energy in order to achieve the ambitions. The panel put forward a few key ideas and also some of the challenges that we need to embrace and also overtake them in order to actually scale up our renewable energy ambition in Malaysia.
All right, so talking about business model, we always hear that there is plenty of money out there to fund green projects, yet the actual building of these projects still seems slow. There's a big gap between investors wanting to spend money and actual projects getting started on the road. So how is the financing landscape evolving, and where are you seeing the biggest gaps between capital availability and deployment?
You're right, Mus. There are actually a lot of capital availability. In the last 2 months, Tenaga has already went to the market twice. We raised Sukuk bond for our hydro and also for our solar project. In both issuances, we actually raised about 2.5 billion ringgit. And for both issuances, it was oversubscribed by more than 5 times. So that shows the quality of the books, the quality of the accounts, and the strong interest from the bondholders to actually invest into renewable energy. So you're right, there are no shortage of capital availability. But at the same time, you're also right in the sense that we could have a faster pace to deploy this capital as well in order to achieve our ambition. Yep.
All right, so a green project can look great on paper, but getting it to the bank and actually get a bank to approve the loan is a different matter altogether. So a lot of developers get stuck in this exact phase, trying to get the ball rolling, right? So from your experience, how do projects commonly get stuck on this journey? And also, what makes a project truly bankable in your point of view?
Yeah, it's a great question because back then when we had our first solar project in Malaysia, it was actually relatively easier to go through the process, even though those were the times when it was actually at the beginning of the solar industry. But now, as solar becomes very dominant as part of our landscape as well, things get a bit more dynamic. So developers now need to navigate a very dynamic landscape. For example, yes, in terms of the cost of solar projects, it has reduced dramatically since 2018, 2017 timeframe. But at the same time, the volatility has increased. For example, just within 3 months, the price of solar module can increase by 30%, right? And at the same time, in terms of lead time for some of these major equipments, it is now growing increasingly to 12 to 18 months. So that puts significant timeline in the time to construct and develop a project. So what usually happens is the costing that we actually did at the initial stage may or may not be relevant 6 months the road or 12 months the road.
Yeah, yeah.
So we continuously needs to actually navigate it such that we can meet the cost and also the return that we envisage for those projects. Secondly, because solar and renewable energy projects has become dominant and much larger than what it used to be, it now interacts with the communities and the local economies. So in that sense, local authorities are also looking at emerging guidelines and trends to say where can this renewable energy can benefit the communities and their local economies as well, right? So there comes, potentially new emerging requirements and guidelines that developers needs to follow or comply to, and that will put additional cost and additional timeline as well. So again, the uncertainty may continue for some of these developers. And finally, of course, we do have a new route to markets, new programs where off-takers or end customers can procure green electric. And from that kind of schemes, we still need to tweak some of those parameters such that those programs can be bankable. Yeah? But nevertheless, in terms of the demand of data centers or off-takers on green electrons, it's actually very strong. There's a very high interest. Just today, we actually exchanged MOU between Tenaga and a data center to provide 1 gigawatt of electricity. Renewable energy electricity to them.
So you mentioned about volatility just now. Maybe you can actually elaborate more on what volatility that we are looking into.
Yeah.
That basically changes the market and also the prices of, like you said just now.
Yes, correct. We, for example, just in terms of the solar module itself, in the last 18 months, we saw price drop significantly as well because of the oversupply in China. Right? And then suddenly, towards the end of last year and early this year, price shot up 30% within 3 months. Right? So that zigzag trend of prices makes it difficult for us to really lock in or pin down our costs. It keeps moving, and developers continuously need to optimize their design and their capex in order to deliver the projects. And at the same time, also in terms of rules, regulations, requirements as well, they are also emerging and changing. Right? As I said just now, renewable energy is getting a larger part of the local economy, and the local authorities are also looking at how this interacts with the communities, with the environment, and so on and so forth. So guidelines are kind of being improved in stages, and developers will need to keep up with that as well. Right? So that's the kind of volatility in terms of prices, in terms of unknown timeline, and the processes that we have to go through to develop the solar project.
So all of this unpredictability in terms of volatility, as you mentioned earlier, would obviously affect investor confidence and also in terms of community confidence. I mean, we have cream and crest right now. So is this is going to be something that of a pattern going forward, or there will be some point in the future where Tenaga can finally lock down and this is it,
Actually, it's actually a good thing that we come up with a lot of these guidelines, right? And it's very normal that, look, as we go through it, we refine those guidelines as well. We refine the market. So I wouldn't say this is a peculiar thing for Malaysia. Tenaga also have some operations in international markets. We're seeing the same thing. So this dynamic landscape will be the norm moving forward as well. And that's how we just have to navigate it.
So we have to adapt to it,
yes,
no matter what the option is. All right, so to really speed things up, we can't have developers, banks, and governments working in silos, each in its own position. So they all need to be on the same page regarding risk and profit, so the money can flow smoothly. So what does it take in practice to bring these elements together and make sure that the operations, the transition towards green energy, new energy is buttery smooth?
Very good questions. I think the good thing about in Malaysia is policy makers, regulators, and also players are all constantly having dialogues, right? So in that sense, alignment are being created regularly, feedback loop are being created as well. So we are continuously refining our market and the processes such that we can bring projects from inception to financial close, construction, and also operations. So a lot of policies right now are also being, in a way, explored with developers, and they are now being refining by not only by the involved regulators, but also by bank negaras as well, to some extent, where they help and support in terms of sustainable and blended financing. So there have been some success stories in the sense that there have been regulations and policies that enable us to seek funding and financing in a much faster pace compared to previously.
But overall, can you really say that the entire business structure and the support given by the government, Bank Negara, as you mentioned earlier, is basically in unison with what the current agenda of the government and also Tenaga's agenda is?
Yes, absolutely. I would say 100% yes on that. Because, as I mentioned, dialogues are happening between all these agencies and also market players as well, where everyone has that same objective, right? To achieve higher renewable energy, to achieve net zero by 2050. And not only driven by that higher objective, is because in terms of the market itself, it is growing and it provides opportunity for everyone to participate as well. So right now, there's a very good congruent of these players and policymakers sitting together and developing the market for everyone in order to achieve the energy transition.
All right. So looking ahead, trying to fix 100 small issues at once usually doesn't work, right? So you have to focus on one major issue and really put all the efforts into that. So from your point of view, what is that one shift, whether in financing or in policy or investment approach, that can be taken up, to ensure that we achieve this kind of objectives?
Well, I think one of the biggest factor is to ensure that at the end of the day, projects are bankable and built at the highest quality as well, and providing sufficient return to the investors and providing reasonable price to the market as well, right? So that we don't actually impact, at the end of the day, the consumers. So in terms of one biggest shift, I wouldn't say just one, if I may just add one or two more. So the first would probably be, yes, there's a lot of capital on the financing side.
Obviously.
There's also a lot of capital from the equity side as well, right? However, perhaps some of the equity investors are sitting on the sideline, which I think is fair for now, but eventually when the market has a bit more clarity, we need to get those equity investors
to chip in
into the room as well,
yes,
right? So that's number one. Number two is, in terms of the market players and supply chain, we need to expand the capacity of the industry too, right? So for example, Tenaga yesterday also signed up a joint venture agreement with a few SMEs, I think about 17 SMEs, to work together in developing new solar assets. So we hope that will spur a lot more players in the future as well. And last but not least is, at the end of the day, as developers, we need to be disciplined in ensuring that projects are built to quality, to build that is bankable, and at the end of the day, provide the returns and also good electricity to consumers as well.
So how did Tenaga find this balance, between giving the best out of what Tenaga can deliver to the masses without actually sacrificing in costs, when it comes to Tenaga's objective and also Tenaga's service in Malaysia?
At the end of the day, it boils down to our operations and efficiency. So we will always strive to actually adopt new ways of doing things as well. For example, we look into AI a lot into our operations in managing the efficiency and cost of our transmission, generation, whichever that may be, customer services, in everything that we do. So we try to be as efficient as possible and adopting latest technologies, including AI as well.
All right. So in the 5 to 10 years, where do you think we are in terms of the bankability of green energy funding? will the government be even more open towards accelerating the target of NETR 2050?
Well, I think that option is always on the table,
Mm-hmm.
right? What we are seeing today is a very good and healthy capital flow in the renewable energy space. It would only continue. I foresee that it will only continue in the future for the next 3 to 5 years. And I think the momentum itself can be sustained, provided that all players and the industry keep an open dialogue, aligning to our joint mutual objective, and really at the end of the day, providing opportunity for projects to actually proceed to financial close and towards operations as well. So if everyone is on the same page with the same objective and intent, and dialogue continues, I think there is, it's a very good chance that we will actually achieve our objective.
So the entire ecosystem is basically works on the cooperation and the willingness of every institutions, like you said, financially, in terms of the banks and the government's political will, and also from the community itself, the willingness to actually transition into new energy. All right, so that was a very good dialogue that we have right now with the Chief New Energy Officer of Tenaga Nasional Berhad. Again, thank you, Encik Muhammad Zarihi, Muhammad Hashim, for spending your time here with Bernama Mobile Studio. For those at home, you are currently watching our podcast session from the Energy Transition Conference 2026, ETCon26, brought to you by none other than our electrical utility company, Tenaga Nasional Berhad. So for those interested, again, please come to the conference beginning from the 3rd of June until the 5th of June 2026. You have one more day to do so don't miss out. This is your chance to learn more about our country's efforts to transition into new energy in the future. I am Muzammil Abdullah. Thank you, and we will see from you again.